Hi friends, welcome to today's webinar presentation. Okay, now today we have a special guest. It's Daniel from QNAP, Daniel Francis Lyon. And as you recall from past videos, Daniel is with the company QNAP. Okay, now Daniel is an expert in QNAP technology, QNAP operating system. Okay, now what he's gonna do is he's gonna walk us through the brand new operating system that was recently released from QNAP. It's the QTS Hero plus ZFS. So great stuff, guys. I promise you, it's going to be worth it. So stay tuned. Check this out. Daniel, welcome to today's presentation. It's good to have you here. Obviously, both of us working remotely due to the pandemic of the COVID-19 coronavirus. Both of us working from remote locations. Daniel, welcome. How are you doing?
Good. How are you?
Fantastic. Really good, Daniel. Again, working remotely, having to do what we got to do, so here we are. So Daniel, let's talk a little bit more in detail about QNAP's new operating system. I know it's been a long time. The first time we heard about it was at the QNAP partner event in San Jose, and everybody's really excited about it. It's finally come. It's here, and so we're really, really super excited to share this information as well as get some systems into our labs, remote labs, and test them out. So Daniel, going to get started. Let's check out what you have for us today.
Yeah, so what we have is our new QTS Hero, which is ZFS, but with QTS. So in the past, we did have an operating system with ZFS, but it didn't have our app center. It didn't have our more than 120 apps, which meant it didn't have nearly as many features. But now you can have the benefit of ZFS without sacrificing the feature-rich benefit of QTS. So essentially it is QTS, but with ZFS and the benefits that come with ZFS.
Wow, awesome. That's fantastic. So Daniel, I know you have a presentation for us, so let's take a peek at that and let's check it out. Let's have some fun.
All right, happy to. So QTS Hero, as I mentioned, it's QTS with ZFS. We're calling it QUTS now. So what this offers is better data integrity. We have protection from silent data corruption, greater storage protection because we now support up to triple parity, higher overall performance. I'll get more into how these features help with performance, and you get all this without sacrificing the App Center. So one of the more notable features of ZFS is it has inline deduplication and inline compression. So in this example, this will be all the data that goes into the RAM, and this will be the data that gets written to the drives. So obviously there's a storage savings here. There's also a performance benefit, which I'll get into. But one of the benefits I'll mention right now is you can more effectively use SSD cache because this would be what you write to the cache, not that. So you can fit a lot more data on your cache, get more cache hits. Also, your SSDs last longer because you don't have to write as much data to them. So the way this this works is that it's a block level deduplication. So there might be multiple groups of blocks within a file that are identical. Also, multiple groups of blocks between files that are identical. So all the A's can represent identical groups of blocks. They get combined into one. All these B blocks combined into one. And then you just need to have some metadata that you need to convert this into that, which shouldn't take too much space. One thing to note here is that that metadata to convert this to this, we store that in the RAM. We keep it in the RAM to avoid a performance penalty in this translation. So we do recommend 1 GB of RAM for every 1 TB of deduplicated data. But otherwise, this should work just great. Something to mention here is that you can turn on compression or deduplication on a folder by folder basis. That way, the kinds of files that benefit most from deduplication put in a folder with deduplication turned on. The files that benefit most from compression, put it in a folder with compression turned on. And that way you can use deduplication where you need it most without taking too much RAM because you could just turn it off where it wouldn't be as beneficial anyway. So the way you can think about deduplication is that it deduplicates and compresses while the data is still in the RAM. So this goes in the RAM, this is what goes into the RAM, and this is what you write to your drives. So obviously storage savings. But the other thing to keep in mind is that drives will have a max write speed, and a RAID group of drives will have a max write speed. So let's say you have a RAID of drives with a max speed of 1,000 megabytes a second. Well, if you are compressing and deduplicating before you write to the drives, you could write to the drives 1,000 megabytes a second, but be writing to the NAS at maybe 1,500 megabytes a second. So there isn't just a space savings here, there could be a performance benefit. You could actually get more throughput into the NAS because you deduplicate and compress before you write to the drives. You can write more data into the NAS before you hit the limit of your drive write speed. And an important part about this is how ZFS uses the RAM. It's while the data is in the RAM, it's deduplicated and compressed. Also, the RAM, a portion of the RAM will be used as write cache. A portion of the RAM will be used as read cache. And there will be ZIL logging to SSDs so that if there's a power outage or something, this protects the integrity of your data. So ZFS very effectively can use RAM as a cache, both to save space while compressing that data while it's still in the RAM, and also just RAM is just a very fast kind of medium. So because ZFS so effectively uses RAM as a cache and to increase performance, it's good to have a fairly substantial amount of RAM to get this performance benefit. So, I mean, 32, 64 gigs of RAM will be great for optimal performance. And even more can do even better. And the benefit of this is obviously you can store more in your NAS, but also because you have more throughput, you could potentially have more simultaneous video editors editing directly off of the NAS. And that's because you can have more people edit off it at once before you hit that throughput maximum where you might start to have frames dropped or something. Now, how much you benefit from this will depend on what kind of files you have. For example, if you're editing using pre-compressed video, our inline compression is probably not going to compress it more. But if you're editing completely raw video, you might see like a 40% savings by this inline compression, and that means more storage and more simultaneous editors. For video editing, it's the compression that's probably going to help you, and the good news is that doesn't even need that much RAM. And if you have a lot of, say, VM images, it's the deduplication that will probably help more. So different files will benefit more from different features. So something else worth noting with ZFS is we can protect your data with more redundancy. So we now support triple parity, also known as RAIDz Z3, and some people have called it RAIDz 7. So to understand what this is, RAID 5 allows you to lose one drive and you're okay. RAID 6 allows you to lose two drives and you're okay, still have all your data. Triple parity allows you to lose three drives and be okay. So it's just a higher degree of redundancy to give you more protection. The other thing ZFS has to protect your data is protection from silent data corruption. Under certain circumstances, a block of data on a hard drive can get corrupted. It's not like it happens that often, but it can happen. And ZFS protects you from this just automatically. And the way it does this is it has a checksum for every block of data. So if a block gets corrupted, the checksum of the block will change, and immediately the system knows this block has been corrupted. So then it simply uses your RAID redundancy to restore, to self-heal from that corruption. So with RAID 1, this is the easiest to explain, but it works with the other RAID configurations as well. This example, there's corruption, which means immediately it knows there's corruption because the checksum. All it has to do is with RAID 1, there is mirroring, so there's a copy of that block on the other drive. It simply copies the good block over and overwrites the corrupted block. And now there's again two good blocks. It has healed from that silent data corruption. So it uses checksum to detect the corruption, and it uses your RAID redundancy to heal the corruption, and it does it automatically. And what that means is, first of all, your data is a lot safer, and then also, if you had a power outage or something, you don't need to run a check file system. Just the healing is just automatic. Another advantage of of ZFS is a faster RAID rebuild time. So there is a convenience to faster RAID rebuild, but the other thing is there's protection. You're less likely to have something go wrong during a RAID rebuild if it can happen faster. And ZFS is significantly faster in RAID rebuild times. And you get all these benefits of ZFS without having to sacrifice the App Center. But what that means is you can still run hybrid mount, use your NAS as a cache space for your public cloud. You can still run virtual machines in our hypervisor, use the NAS as a VPN, Plex media servers, so many things, more than 100 apps. And you don't have to sacrifice that now with ZFS. You have the same benefits you're used to having from QTS, but with the benefits of ZFS as well. And we are currently releasing this on our special QTS Hero NAS. And so I've talked so far about the benefits of ZFS with QTS Hero, but our QTS Hero NAS have another benefit, which is that we have increased the power of the hardware. So not only is there a performance benefit to having ZFS, there's a performance benefit to having more powerful hardware. So first of all, for our 83 series, we have the more powerful Xeon now. This more powerful Xeon up till now has only been available on our 24-bay NAS, but now the more powerful Xeon is available on our 12-bay NAS. And then for the 77 series, we have upped it to the 3rd gen Ryzen. That means Zen 2 architecture, pretty substantial upgrade. And to compare the two, so our current Ryzen 7 NAS is the Ryzen 2700, and it's a powerful NAS with a very respectable pass mark of about 15,000. But when you go up to the 3700X, you go up to more than 22,000. So that's a pretty substantial jump when you go to the QTS Hero NAS. And that's what's available now, but not too far from now, we should offer QTS Hero on our kind of mid to high-end units as well. But just keep in mind that on the lower-end hardware, you may not get as many benefits. So if you have like a Celeron NAS, you would probably mostly be choosing QTS Hero for protection from silent data corruption or triple parity. But the performance benefit, you may not see the performance benefit from, say, compression and deduplication, because that benefits you in performance by letting you write faster to the drives, but it requires more from the CPU. And if the CPU is not powerful enough, it actually may not benefit the performance. In some cases, could cost performance. So you'd probably just turn those features off with like a Celeron, and it'd be mostly there for the protection from silent data corruption. Whereas the higher end units, you actually get a performance benefit as well. So that's, these are our new NAS with ZFS on QTS.
Awesome. Hey, Daniel, great stuff. Really exciting. Actually, I had a list of questions, but you've answered them all. Some of our customers knew that we were going to come on with you, and they gave us a list of questions. I'm gonna glance through them, but again, you just answered them, but perhaps you can kind of recap, kind of talk a little bit about that. So, as a recap, okay. What are the key metrics of combining QTS and ZFS that gives the QNAP edge over just having a NAS system with ZFS?
Yeah, the real benefit is you still have the benefits of QTS, because a lot of ZFS NAS, I mean, they're good for backing things up, but there's not that many ZFS-based NAS that have as many features as a QNAP has. There's really a huge amount of QNAP can do. We have a wide variety of customers. Some want Plex media server, some just want a video edit, some just want a file server, some need a VPN, some want to run virtual machines and not pay a licensing fee using our hypervisor. And we have so many apps there's so much that we can do. And now we can do that on ZFS.
Right, exactly. And we hear the same thing from customers saying, hey, wouldn't it be great if we can get the QTS operating system with a ZFS system? Like, it's always been either or. It's either ZFS or it's going to be QTS. And now both of these worlds are combined, and our customers are really super excited about it, and we're super excited about it. So, also another question is, Are there two versions of the QTS, one for enterprise and then one, let's say, for SMB or home?
And the answer is no, not really. We have QTS for home, SMB, and enterprise, and we have QTS Hero for home, SMB, and enterprise. And we're now calling it QUTS, but adding that U is not really a change in the operating system.
Gotcha. So it's a QUTS Hero, right? That is the operating system with the ZFS.
Yes.
Okay. So when someone says, or one of a customer says, QUTS Hero, that's implying that it already comes with the ZFS as well, correct?
Yes, our QUTS Hero NAS already come with QUTS Hero.
Awesome. Good. And now, another question. You did answer this, but to recap, can we use this? Can we download the operating system on, let's say, for example, systems we already have?
In the future, pretty soon you should be able to. Not quite yet, but soon from our mid to high-end NAS, we should be able to let you do that.
Right, and you said, however, the caveat being that it has to have the appropriate hardware, right, in order for it to function.
Right. QTS Hero will not even run on less than 4 gigs of RAM, and it won't attempt any deduplication on less than 8. Gotcha. And for you to really benefit from these features, you probably want more RAM than that. Yeah. So, but if you just want the triple parity, silent data corruption, you could use like the lower end, and that would be just fine. But if you want those performance benefits, you should probably have a higher end NAS.
Definitely. Awesome. We'll definitely keep that in mind, not only when we're consulting, but at the same time when building the systems for our customers. So you also talked about this. Are the volume sizes limited to the QTS versus the QTS? The QTS Hero versus QTS?
Well, yeah, there is a volume size limit. First of all, normal QUTS has a volume size limit of 250 terabytes, and that's because it uses ext4. But the QUTS Hero has a volume limit of 1 petabyte, so 4 times the size.
Awesome. That's great. That's another benefit of the operating system. Now, and this was another question. Will QNAP be rolling out the file system, obviously, in the future? And if so, when is that date? Do we have a date? Is there some type of indication yet? Customers are already, obviously, press release came out yesterday. This video is going to be obviously uploaded today. Is there some type of indication as to when they will be able to test maybe the operating system or to download it?
It shouldn't be too long. I don't have a clear date, but I mean, it's, maybe 1 or 2 months away, probably. Yeah, not sure exactly, but since we have it for a QTS Hero NAS, it shouldn't be too much longer before it's available to most of our other NAS.
Great, got it. Okay, and again, the benefit of getting the QTS Hero NAS, it comes preloaded with the operating system, the QTS Hero. Plus, it's rest assured that the hardware that it comes with, it's turnkey, it's ready to go based on the minimum requirements of the operating system, correct? So it's safe to say that when you do buy it, that it's the adequate hardware, right, to be able to utilize the system to its fullest potential, correct?
Yeah, I'd say it far surpasses the minimum requirements. It can take even up to 128 gigs of RAM, and it's got an excellent CPU.
Right, which makes a lot of sense because you're not fumbling around, with an operating system, having to upgrade your RAM, having to do a lot of stuff. Where why not just buy one that already comes pre-equipped with it, right? Initialize it, get it ready to go. Like you said, it's well enough to run with its required hardware. It comes with more than that. Rest assured that it will be running a nice operating system with both the QTS operating system that's well known as the QNAP operating system, alongside with the ZFS file system, and as we know, the enterprise class system. And so, Daniel, again, great stuff in the IT world for us and the data world. This is, again, something that we spoke about several months ago in San Jose. When we did hear about it, that it was coming. You know, a lot of us had to pinch ourselves because of Dream, because before, like I said, you either had to pick and choose. You know, you had to pick and choose between, hey, which one of your kids do you love the best, the QTS or the ZFS kid? Now, you love them both because now they're combined, right? Now you don't have to, you know, pick one over the other. Now you can actually get a system that it comes, you know, both of these now come in a QNAP NAS system. So again, a long time coming. We've been keeping our fingers crossed. We've been holding our breath. Now, the only thing we need to do is get one in our lab. We haven't tested it yet. These things are brand new. But when we do, rest assured, we're going to spin it up and we're going to test it and we're going to post videos about it and show you guys exactly what it can do. Maybe, Daniel, when you do get your hands on it, you can come back. We can shoot a video and you can kind of walk us through, you know, how do you create, you know, the Z-RAIDz, you know, how to create some of these RAIDz, how do you optimize the system? We talked about that a little bit and some of its benefits. Maybe you can walk us through and say, hey, click here, click there, click there. A kind of learning curve for all of us as well that we're going to have to learn, obviously, but maybe you can walk us through it a little bit and help us out learning the new QNAP operating system.
That'd be great.
So Daniel, again, hey, on behalf of everyone, all of our customers and everybody out there, QNAP fans, thank you, Daniel, very much. As I mentioned, we're both working remotely due to the COVID-19 coronavirus. All of us are working remotely, and Daniel, thank you for your time. I know you're busy these days, for coming in and talking to us. We really appreciate it. Thank you very much. And again, on behalf of our friends, QNAP and Simply Nash, wishing everyone lots of health out there. Be safe and stay tuned for a lot more videos, guys, okay? Again, thank you very much for your time. Have a good one. Take care, guys.
Thank you.